Hey everybody, welcome back to the Divine's Finest podcast, episode 45. And today we are going to talk about the lies LOA coaches won't tell you, but I definitely will. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and also be sure to check out my amazing journals. I have a free journal, my Secure Self-Era journal, and also I have a paid journal, which takes you even deeper into any cycles you may be repeating with your attachment styles or with relationships with others. Okay, the links are in the description box below. So today we're going to have an honest, maybe uncomfortable conversation today, so please be advised, all right, you guys, and this is about something I wish that someone had told me years ago. Okay, I'm talking about way back in I want to say like the end of 2020. Okay, around October, November, December, somewhere around there, about the law of assumption coaching industry. Okay. Now, I have briefly talked about how I used to be a part of the law of assumption community. And then before that, between 2017, 2018-ish until about 2020 was when I was in the twin flame community. And I'll probably do some episodes about that later as well. But going back into it, if you've ever spent hours affirming, scripting, visualizing, buying courses like I did, like I used to, for example, and you still feel like you're broken because it's not working, this episode is definitely going to be for you, because let me tell you guys, I did a variety of things. I was the one who was trying to find the best, oh my God, it's off the tip of my tongue. I can't even get it out of my mouth right now. The best, technique, okay, out there, because there's so many out there, right? Like, I've taken a numerous amount of courses, you name it, okay, for example. But anyway, so I want to start out with how they hook you in, okay, basically. So when you're heartbroken, anxious, or desperately wanting love, you're vulnerable, right? You're looking for answers. And, maybe you type in your search engine, such as like how to get your ex back, or, something along the lines of that, for example. And, then you see LOA content showing up promising control, such as, persist and you'll have them back, or change your self-concept, and then they'll chase you. That sounds so empowering, right? But it's often the first step into a shame loop, okay? And so LOA coaches tell you that if it's not working, you're not persisting enough, right? This is what they'll tell you. And so you're told that you must have some type of limiting belief, or your self-concept isn't good enough, or that you have a bad self-concept, or that you're checking the 3D, something like that, right? And what does that actually do? That actually keeps you stuck blaming yourself instead of looking at the actual relationship dynamic, such as what I've been talking about, like in the last 40 plus episodes I've been doing, right? Like avoidant partners, unhealed trauma, or inconsistency, or inconsistent love. And you keep buying more courses thinking that maybe this next one will fix me. Oh, let me tell you guys, I've been a victim of that too. Okay, like I can't tell you. One of these days, I think I might post a picture of how many freaking courses I bought from one creator, for example. Okay, I have receipts, okay? And so here's a truth bomb that no one wants to say out loud. is that a lot of LOA coaches aren't living what they preach, believe it or not, okay? Some of them are actually single. Some of them are stuck in the same toxic cycles. Of course, they're not going to tell you that, right? They're not going to get on the internet and tell you the truth, right? And some never even show their own healthy, secure relationships because realistically, they don't have them, okay? I think I've only personally had seen like maybe, I'm going to say maybe about 3 coaches that actually did show their person, to be honest. And I'm not gonna really name names here, okay? But all the rest of them, because there's so many, I've never seen their person. You know what I mean? So I think I only know one really popular one that she doesn't really put her husband on her YouTube, but but he has been referenced a few times, right? Okay. And I think he has his own YouTube channel. All right. But anyway, so, so a lot of them usually never show their own true healthy relationships, right? Because they've built a business on making you believe they hold the secret to love. And LOA is almost never trauma informed. Have you noticed that? I've now noticed that. And affirmations don't heal an anxious attachment style, okay? Or even an avoidant attachment style. They don't, okay? It bypasses it, all right? Because you could be thinking one way, but your nervous system is like hijacked with fear, right? Because that's what I noticed within me. Like, I can think of like, I can sing, not sing, but like literally affirm money affirmations, throughout the day or whenever I have an anxious thought or fearful thought. But my nervous system was still where I was still like not weird, but like, worried about money and things like that. I always felt anxious, wondering like what's going to happen next. And then I will like slap a freaking affirmation on top of it. I wasn't, regulating my nervous system. That's what I was missing, right? For example. And then, you have scripting, for example. It doesn't regulate the nervous system either. You can't just write things out by itself. Okay. Because scripting doesn't regulate the nervous system, that's been triggered by abandonment or inconsistency. So in fact, the whole idea of ignoring the 3D can make you dismiss red flags and stay longer in painful, unsafe situations, right? So like, no matter how much you're affirming, or scripting, or even just visualizing, okay, a specific person loving you and stuff like that. But if they're still showing up hot and cold and, avoiding you and everything else and being inconsistent, that's you bypassing those red flags. You're not even paying attention to what they're really doing, because what they're really showing you is they're showing you who they truly are, and that's not going to change. And it doesn't matter if they end up with a third party, because, for example, and I know this for a fact, I told you guys about Taz and all that, situation before, and other people. It's the same. They're pretty much have been refurbished with the other person. The same situation is going to show up with them too. Because the thing is, you guys, social media, the grass ain't always green on the other side, okay? But my whole point being, going to the next subject here, is that LA coaching is an industry. Your pain is their sales funnel, you guys. Okay, the more you feel like something's wrong with you, the more courses you buy. And that's why I spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars on courses, thinking that, maybe there's some type of limiting belief within my subconscious that I'm not even aware about. I need to buy this course. You know what I mean? It would be stuff like that I was thinking at the time. And they use urgency, FOMO, and NLP sales tactics to make you think that you're close, but that close keeps you paying, okay? You're not broken. You're just human, healing, and needing safety before manifestation can even feel real. Okay, and what broke me out of this cycle was not a new information or technique, believe it or not. And I already kind of mentioned, but I've mentioned quite a few times what I actually did, hence part of the reason why I wrote a journal, you guys, is to help you actually identify what's really going on, all right? And not just recognizing what type of situation you're in, especially if you're in a situation with another person, but to get to the root. And then once you get to the root, I have a specific exercise of how to ground yourself and how to regulate your nervous system, okay? Nervous system regulation, which is actually calming your body down instead of fighting it, okay? Now, I didn't put these other things in, a couple of these other things I did add in my journal, my Decentering Men Journal as well, but I didn't put the womb practices in there, but I do have an ongoing embodiment exercise, like at the towards the end of the journal, that I'll have you guys do, okay, even after you finish your journal, because that's going to help you reconnect with yourself. And then another one is real boundary work. Now, I actually do have a non-negotiable boundaries mini guide that you guys can purchase. That's optional with my Decentering Men Journal as well too. Okay, because having boundaries was another thing that I actually did that actually helped me get me into a healthier, secure attachment style, okay? Because real boundary work is you don't have to try to manifest you shouldn't even have to manifest someone into loving you, okay? But having boundaries teaches you how to even attract in a secure partner, okay? And then lastly, facing the truth. Here's the thing, you guys. I know that it hurts when, someone is rejecting you, someone's not showing up for you, or if there was someone else, whatever the case may be, okay? I know that that's hard to deal with, all right? But once you continue, working more on yourself the right way, regulating your nervous system, healing your attachment style, then you'll actually start to realize that these other people who weren't giving you the time of day and things like that, you're going to realize that those people weren't even really meant for you anyway. And then you'll start getting the ick about them and everything. And that's what happened to me over time. And I'm like, what the heck did I see in this person? Okay. And no amount of persistence, like the LOA coaches tell you, is going to change that. All right. So healing isn't glamorous. It's not instant, okay? But it's real. And once you stop blaming yourself, you start living again. So with that being said, if you've been trapped in the shame spiral, I want you to know that it's not you, okay? It's time to stop looping in courses and start healing where it matters. And that's why, like I mentioned, I created resources for this. Like my 7-day secure self journal I mentioned, which is actually free. Okay. It's going to help you identify what type of situation you're in. If you're in a situationship, dealing with hot and cold behavior, I think I have 5 or 6 different listings there and on the first page. Okay. And then, of course, if you want to dig even deeper, where I go into the embodiment exercise and all that stuff, that's what my Decentering Men Journal is for. And, but both of these journals are going to help you reconnect with yourself and break this pattern for good, just like I did, okay? And those links are below, but in the description box. But just know that you're not broken and that you're just ready for truth and real love, okay? So I know that I was going on a little bit of a tangent, you guys, but I wanted to start this LOA series. I've been wanting to start it for a little while. I just didn't know when that was going to be, but it is finally going to start. And then after this, I'll resume back into, attachment styles and all that good stuff. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. All right, check out those journals, and I'll speak to you guys in the next podcast episode.